Tonight, the US in the grip of a violent uprising, weapons drawn, protesters mowed down. Parts of LA and New York on fire as police in Minneapolis fight back.
Cities locked down, rioters labelled extreme as leaders issue a plea that burning cities to the ground won't fix anything.
Final goodbye. A Perth father reveals his heartbreak as the driver accused of killing his daughter is discharged from hospital and into police custody.
A toddler, one of 3 new cases in Perth, as a nurse reveals how she caught coronavirus despite extreme precautions.
How COVID restrictions are delaying repairs and causing a stink in Perth's northern suburbs.
And second time lucky as SpaceX launches its first manned mission out of this world.
Live from our Perth headquarters, this is 7 News with Tim McMillan and Angela Tsun.
Good evening, welcome to 7 News. Tonight, the United States of America is violently unravelling in front of the world's gaze as race riots spread and leave the nation's biggest cities burning. Police are in the line of fire facing the full rage of their citizens after the death of a black man at the hands of officers beneath one's knee. Burning coast to coast, 29 cities have declared curfews from New York to Los Angeles, New Orleans, Seattle and Minneapolis, ground zero for the anger being felt by millions of Americans. And from where US Bureau Chief Ashley Mullaney begins our coverage.
Police unleash force in a country gone to hell. A loaded assault rifle snatched by a private guard at gunpoint as officers are dangerously outnumbered, surrounded.
Officers being chased by the group here.
Their cars on fire. Looters take over. As Saturday night anarchy reigns through America. This is Beverly Hills. High-end stores looted, famous shopping centre The Grove cleaned out. And burning. Fairfax near Hollywood, a battleground. LA has survived a history of race riots. It's in one again.
It's one of our darkest days when I saw it last, and it's repeating.
This time it's nationwide. New York, under siege.
Leave them alone! Don't get out of here!
In Minneapolis, it felt different.
And the State Patrol has just arrived, preparing to take on these protesters and throwing flash grenades right now. Cam, they got me in the arm, Cam. I need to get back to the car.
Go!
Tonight, police have had enough.
I was not expecting them to come with that much force. Cam, you all right?
A force not willing to lose control for another night.
We've just taken cover behind the car. There is so much tear gas. It's really hard to breathe.
Right across the country,
it's a revolution.
A weekend escalation was the fear. As night fell, America unravelled before our eyes. A block from the White House, buildings burn. The National Guard moving into American streets. A local with a bow and arrow.
You call yourself an American?
Yes, I'm American. All lives matter.
Took aim at protesters before they turned on him. In the home of country music, Nashville City Hall is set alight. Violent and now deadly.
The other fear here is... We've heard some gunshots, possibly.
A drive-by in Detroit killed a teenager in the crowd. Curfews are now imposed in multiple states.
Get inside! Get inside!
Here's an arrest. Here comes another one.
From Seattle to Chicago and in the heart of Los Angeles, police begin taking control. A new lockdown from a new spreading threat. In virus-hit New York, a lone nurse puts herself in the firing line.
We don't need no more black brothers and sisters dying. That's it!
Pleading, begging for this to end.
Ashley Mullaney is monitoring the situation in Minneapolis tonight, where police responded with force. Did it work?
Yeah, and after days of being outnumbered and overrun, it's finally felt like police are on the front foot tonight and are on the offensive. They've set up these rapid response teams to try to deal with spot fires around the city. But some people, some businesses aren't waiting for police. They're taking matters into their own hands, including this one behind me, where the business owners are all armed and willing to take on anyone who comes here to try to loot their business. Supporting the police, though, tonight is the National Guard. Last night we saw some 700 troops on the ground. Now that number has grown to almost 11,000. Tim.
Ashley, thank you. Paul Kadak joins us live now from Los Angeles. Paul, a state of emergency has been declared there.
Good evening, Tim. Yeah, that's right. And the National Guard called in here as well. There's a curfew in place here tonight after protests in this part of the city led to a standoff between demonstrators and police that descended into vandalism and violence. It's been 30 years since the Rodney King riots here in LA, but racial tensions have been simmering in this country for so much longer.
In city after city, calls for justice.
I'm frustrated and I'm angry and I feel powerless.
Yes, we are upset. Yes, we are hurting.
The country's long history of racial injustice boiling over.
This is 400 years. 400 years we have been dealing with systemic racism. It has to be a systemic change.
This is not in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. This is chaos.
My administration will stop mob violence, and we'll stop it cold.
Some of the anger directed at the president, stoking tension on Twitter as the mob reached the gates of the White House. Warning protesters have been greeted with the most vicious dogs and most ominous weapons. In Minneapolis, the current epicentre of America's pain and anger, the calls are only growing louder for 3 more officers involved in that deadly arrest to be charged.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
Derek Chauvin filmed kneeling on George Floyd's neck, ignoring his pleas for air, already charged with murder, now on suicide watch.
The situation in Minneapolis is no longer in any way about the murder of George Floyd. It is about attacking civil society, instilling fear, and disrupting our great cities.
There is no honor in burning down your city. We as a city are so much more than this.
A curfew is now in place here in Los Angeles, as it is in many cities tonight, but it's having no effect here. That store being looted right now. The nearest police are actually only just down at those traffic lights, but they're dealing with other people.
A long night with resources spread thin.
And here now the consequences of authorities being stretched to the limit. Here on Los Angeles' famous Melrose Avenue, this building up in flames. Firefighters doing the best they can. They need a police escort to respond to most fires. And just down the road, other fire crews are busy with another blaze.
Last time they burned Los Angeles down, this time they come out where the white people at and they burn their stuff down.
In America, justice is never achieved at the hands of an angry mob.
The president and leaders in cities across the country say the protests have been hijacked by radical extremists bent on anarchy.
Groups of outside radicals and agitators are exploiting the situation to pursue their own separate and violent agenda.
But the anger is real, and despite the president's pleas,
healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos.
The thin blue line is tonight holding on by a thread. In Los Angeles, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
A Perth father has revealed his heartbreak over the crash that left his daughter and her best friend dead and sparked a manhunt for the driver who hit them. Anna Hay, has the 50-year-old driver been charged?
And at this stage, he hasn't. It's understood he was discharged from Royal Perth a short time ago after providing a blood sample. Now, we don't know the result of that, but what we do know is that he was taken straight into police custody and is right now being questioned by detectives. Officers say there was also a passenger in his car who fled the scene after the crash. Tonight, he's still on the run. And in the midst of all of this, 2 families are grieving. Lauren Prothero and Paige Ward were inseparable. Best friends, both taken in the blink of an eye, leaving Lauren's heartbroken dad to do something no father should ever have to.
I had to go with the police to identify her, and she looked very peaceful, and I said my goodbyes, but I just couldn't get over how such a brilliant person's been taken away from us.
Taken and left to die by strangers. The driver who hit them and his passenger allegedly walked away.
And she's been taken away from us. And I just don't know how it could happen. It's just surreal.
Lauren was behind the wheel of her Nissan Micra, Paige beside her. Security video appears to show Lauren had the green light and was turning. We won't show you the moment the four-wheel drive ploughed into them. They were just 800 metres from Paige's home and her new husband. The alleged driver was arrested in a nearby car park. Friends finding strength in each other today, visiting the Coolangatta intersection. Struggling to comprehend losing Lauren and Paige and how 2 men could have turned their backs on them in their final moments. Anna Hay, 7 News.
There's been another spike in coronavirus cases in Perth, but the path remains clear for restrictions to ease because each new patient flew here. Authorities say it's proof the danger's not over, and it's why one nurse is speaking out about putting herself in harm's way at work.
Kelly Morris has fought coronavirus at work and at home. The 48-year-old is a registered nurse in Royal Perth Hospital's emergency department. It's also where she believes she could have been infected despite wearing full PPE.
When I woke up the morning before a night shift, I felt some chest heaviness and I had dry cough, so I just ran through those same questions that I would ask any other patient or anybody else.
To stop the spread, Kelly and husband Darren had to separate from each other within their Rockingham home for 17 days. And it worked. Darren never became sick, but it meant they couldn't see their kids or 5 grandchildren for months.
Technology is a wonderful thing, lots of phone calls and Skype chats.
Kelly beat it, but even though the disease has been suppressed across WA, it hasn't been eliminated. 3 new cases were confirmed today, all travellers returning home from overseas. All of them already in hotel quarantine, including a 3-year-old child.
WA hospitals have widely been spared by a coronavirus patient crush over the past couple of weeks. But last night, one crew member from the Al Kuwait livestock ship was admitted here to Royal Perth Hospital.
20 of WA's 28 active cases are crew from the Al Kuwait. As for the stranded sheep, all 56,000 of them are still in limbo. Tomorrow, the 3-month moratorium on live exports from Australia kicks in, but there's still no decision on whether an exemption will be granted. As for Kelly, she's recovered and is back at work, but has this advice for all of us.
People just need to wash their hands and just have an understanding of that, understanding cough etiquette.
Elle Giorgio, 7 News.
Thousands of people living around a northern suburb's wastewater treatment plant could face another month of offensive odours. Attempts to fix the problem have been hampered by COVID restrictions, barring a specialist from overseas.
Obscured behind trees and vegetation, the Beanyup wastewater treatment plant is hard to see. But there's one thing it can't hide: the smell of untreated sewage.
It just fills the house if we've got a window open or something.
Sandy Egan and Mark Hamilton didn't know about the pong when they moved into their Craigie home 12 months ago, but they soon found out.
It's more her because she's pregnant. She smells it a bit more than me, but every now and again you'll get a whiff of it and then it will just, it's pretty, I don't know, it's a really strange smell.
When the Beanyup wastewater plant was first built in 1970, it was much smaller and on the edge of the residential development. Now it's much larger and surrounded on all sides by homes. Craigie cops the brunt of it depending on the conditions, in particular which way the wind blows. But residents in surrounding suburbs like Mullaloo and Belden have reported it too. Sean Hitchcock says it's been going on for the 10 years he's lived in Craigie.
We used to get it maybe 3 or 4, maybe half a dozen times a year on a warm day with an easterly, and it would kind of dissipate when it switched round to the southwest.
But things started going seriously wrong in November last year. That's caused a stink in Parliament.
It's impacting on their lives, it's impacting on their families, and on many days it impacts on people's simple ability to just go outside, either into their backyard or the front yard or the local park.
Water Corporation blames equipment failure.
Equipment failures which have occurred well in advance of the expected shelf life of that equipment.
It's likely to be the end of June before repairs can be made by a Japanese expert who's delayed by coronavirus travel restrictions. Mitchell, what do you reckon of it? Stinks?
Yeah, it really smells.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
We've entered a new chapter in space history, a private company sending humans into orbit. This morning, 2 NASA astronauts lifted off from Cape Canaveral. And as we go to air, they're more than halfway to a rendezvous with the International Space Station.
For the first time since the space shuttle, Cape Canaveral's signature sonic boom rang out. Doug Hurley and Bob Benken hurtling into the sky.
Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
Cameras inside the cockpit as they left Earth behind.
And enjoy those views of our beautiful planet.
Views taken in for the first time from a private vessel.
Appreciate all the hard work and thanks for the great ride to space.
It was touch and go until the final countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Once again wary of weather before the skies cleared just in time for history to be made.
Separation confirmed.
The liftoff and rocket separation executed exactly as planned. The booster rocket returning to a bullseye landing on a floating target in the ocean. Millions watched from around the world, hundreds of thousands in Florida.
You can feel the rocket. It shakes the air, it vibrates the ground, and you see it go.
The Commander-in-Chief at the Kennedy Space Center.
And when you see a sight like that, it's incredible.
The man behind the mission taking a bow.
This is something that should really get people, right on the heart.
While this launch was almost a decade in the making, the focus here today is not on the past, but on the future, with the commercial space race starting now.
It's the future, pretty much. It's like the start of the future.
That's never happened before, so this is a very historical event.
This first step, a giant leap towards space tourism.
Of course, we need to bring them back safely, and we need to repeat these missions and have this be a regular occurrence. So it's a lot of work to do.
Working towards the goal of civilians as passengers. Destination, the moon. And then Mars. In Cape Canaveral, Florida, Amelia Brace, 7 News.
A Perth dancer's COVID quarantine hobby has gone viral online. See the amazing video later this bulletin. But next, shark warning.
Here from the Perth father and son stalked by this ocean giant.
A spectacular but dangerous sight down south as the Margaret River mouth bursts.
And coming up in sport, ahead of their clash at the Gabba, former Dockers great admits to being psyched out by his old team as the Kangas cop some bad injury news.
And Britain's historic pubs that might be history, facing permanent closure due to COVID lockdowns. That's next.
Hello, Marissa. Are you ready for next Monday, 7:30?
The Rankin sisters were myself and my twin sisters. We are the first to bring aerobics to Australia. Known for our morning TV appearances.
You like to get physical, I see.
We're like a household name.
Welcome to 2020. I am Big Brother, and I have chosen you.
Underestimating me is a big mistake.
And you think you can just step your way into being the last one standing?
Life doesn't stop at 60. I aim to win, and I'm ready for it.
I'll be the judge of that. I am Big Brother, and I'll see you next Monday, 7:30.
Tough times don't excuse tougher times at home.
Even in crisis, there's no place for abuse or domestic violence. If you're worried about your actions or relationship, help is available online and by phone 24/7. For free, confidential advice and counselling, contact Men's Line. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
The Nick Scali Autumn Sale ends Monday. Save on a great range of quality furniture. The Nick Scali Autumn Sale. Must end this Monday. Hurry.
Cookie people, cream people, crumbs people, clean people, twist people, lick people, dunk people, munch people. It's on the play, people. If you twist, lick, dunk, then you're my people. We are Oreo people.
Hey, Tina, can you please slice the lettuce, tomato and onions, toast the buns, grab the sauce and mayo and bring the meat.
Take a break from cooking and get Hungry Jack's Flame Grill Whoppers delivered now on Uber Eats or Menu Lock. Hungry Jack's Delivery. The burgers are better.
The Nick Scali Autumn Sale ends Monday. Save on a great range of quality furniture. The Nick Scali Autumn Sale. Must end this Monday. Hurry.
This is our home, the place in which we grow. Our people make this a land like no other, full of sisters and brothers. Our Indigenous leaders with vividness teach us of a limitless mystery and bottomless history. As creativity blooms with each new festivity, showing that WA is home to the best art on earth, not just in Perth. Our nurses and doctors stand hand in hand as they demand that we band together and care for those who need them the most. While our sporting greats, surrounded by mates, demonstrate their fire and never tire. And the business elite pull us all to our feet and treat their role as leaders and teachers with reverence. And finally, our youth, who break new ground and shout it out loud because we are endowed with a crowd who vowed not to bow and instead stand tall for us all. Western Australians, be proud of this place. Because one thing is true, it's proud of you.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
3 children have been saved from dangerous waters after the mouth of the Margaret River burst into the sea at Rivermouth Beach this morning. The spectacle usually occurs once a year around the end of June, but came early due to this week's heavy rains.
It was pretty incredible. It was like someone had pulled the plug on a giant bathtub. It is a little bit dangerous because all that sand gets pulled away, so there is some submerged rocks, but a lot of grommets are having a great time in there mucking around in the waves.
It means walkers on the Cape to Cape track will now need to ford across or follow the winter track diversion.
An update on a story we brought you last night. A little girl severely burnt after walking over an old campfire. A warning, her injuries look bad, but we're happy to report 2-year-old Matilda is recovering well in Perth Children's Hospital. Her parents today told 7 News her condition is stable, but she's facing a long recovery. They've issued a warning to make sure campfires are properly extinguished.
A man has been charged over a robbery spree in Halls Head. The 21-year-old was recognised by staff at this Red Rooster, where he's accused of making threats and demanding cash. Police allege he then targeted a nearby Bunnings minutes later. No one was hurt.
A father and son's fishing trip off Perth was cut short by a close encounter with a great white. Todd and Marcus Ewan say the shark stalked their 16-foot boat for almost 10 minutes, long enough for them to get their cameras rolling. Cassidy Moscone has this exclusive report.
No words.
Oh my!
Just disbelief.
Holy!
That an almighty white shark is within arm's reach.
This is what you call a monster.
Todd was out fishing with his father-in-law and 10-year-old son Marcus just 600 metres off the coast of Cottesloe around 8 yesterday morning when they realised they weren't alone.
I seen this fin sticking out of the water. It was coming towards the boat and I said to Marcus, grab Dad's phone because there's a big shark here.
Dad, is that bigger than 12 foot?
Yeah.
It's bigger than this boat and this boat's 16 foot.
Lucky for them, this giant shark was more a gentle giant.
It didn't worry about any baits or nothing, just kept circling the boat and having a sticky beak and then just it vanished, it took off. But you want a bigger boat now, don't you?
He wants a bigger boat now.
Though we know they're out there, encounters like Marcus and Todd's are thankfully rare. The government Shark Smart website has recorded just one official detection off Perth waters in the past week. Here at Floreat this morning. This makes two.
Holy!
Cassidy Mosconi, 7 News.
A Sydney man who spent 11 years jailed in Bulgaria for murder and attempted murder after a street fight in 2007 will make a bid to clear his name. Jock Pal Freeman will file for a fresh trial where new CCT evidence can be shown.
Now I believe that a fair trial would be possible. 12 and a half years ago I couldn't speak Bulgarian, I didn't know what was happening.
The 33-year-old is also suing Bulgaria's government for poor treatment behind bars.
US President Donald Trump has extended an invitation to Australia to join the G7. Mr Trump made the offer as he announced the 2020 summit would be postponed until September due to the ongoing threat of COVID-19. The president's also inviting Russia, South Korea and India to the leaders' group, adding that the current format is outdated.
They've been described as the heart of England, loved by locals and tourists, but almost 19,000 British pubs may be forced to close permanently. Unlike here, pubs in the UK still can't open, and while many have tried to adapt during the COVID crisis, it may not be enough to survive.
It's recognised as Britain's oldest pub. Dating back to the 8th century, ye olde fighting cocks has survived invasions, wars, the Black Death. But longevity doesn't equal certainty.
It was only a few weeks ago we didn't think we were going to be open 100% until March next year, and that could still be the case.
COVID-19 hit here after a long, quiet winter.
Sat the staff down and said, we can't pay you, you've got no money, we're effectively bust. You know, we can't have not income for 1 week, let alone months.
So they took the last few $1,000s out of the bank and bought supplies, providing a grocery delivery service for the vulnerable.
Jamie's off for our first delivery! One thing we've done is proved beyond doubt that people understand what pubs and community means now.
Making their demise that much harder. Before the pandemic, around 14 British pubs were shutting weekly. It's now estimated 40% of the UK's 47,000 establishments could close their doors for good. Pubs were one of the first businesses ordered to close here in March. The earliest they could reopen is the 4th of July. But for many, it won't be financially viable, with social distancing a huge challenge.
2 metres, it is going to be really impossible for some of our very characterful pubs in the UK to open.
And a long time until it returns to this.
I can't wait to be back and be open. It's the first time I've sat and spoken to an Australian and not had a beer.
In London, Sarah Greenhalgh, 7 News.
Still to come, good news for Perth drivers.
Why traffic will be flowing for your WA Day public holiday.
Why WA's elective surgery backlog could take years to clear.
All his luck used up, how a truck driver survived this.
And sick at sea, then stuck in high-rise. How a Perth dancer made sure her time in COVID quarantine didn't go to waste. That's next.
Footy is back. And you could win the ultimate footy fan cave. We're giving away a new TV, a bar fridge and $800 worth of vouchers. So you can cheer on your favourite team in style. Get the code word from the West, then watch 7 News weeknights from 6 p.m. for your chance to win. Thanks to the West Australian and 7 News.
Grand Final Week is here. Their 60s house is about to be restored and reinvented.
Can you imagine what it's going to look like inside? Nope. Are you ready? Let's do it.
The 1960s is reimagined. A transformation so stunning it will leave them speechless.
Oh my God!
Grand Final Week begins next on 7.
Hi guys, Michael Weldon here, back with another Coles What's for Dinner recipe for you to cook at home. Tonight it's all about olive oil braised greens and anchovies with some rigatoni. This is beautiful La Española mild and light olive oil is the perfect oil to use for this dish. It can cook up to a really nice high heat so we can fry off all these flavourful ingredients. Now the first thing we need to do is to cook our pasta. So pasta into the water. Now that water was heavily salted and it's going to come back to a boil and give that little bit of extra flavour to our pasta. The next thing we need to do is get some oil into our pan. A La Espagnole light olive oil. Now this olive oil is great for frying. It's still got that nice olive oil flavour. It's very light and delicate. We're going to add to that some really thinly sliced garlic. Then you can hit it with a medium-high heat. Leave it to lightly fry and let all that garlic flavour come out. Just going to go in with that rosemary and then anchovies. Now, if you're turning your face up, trust me, in this dish, it's not going to taste overly fishy. The anchovies are going to add a nice meatiness and saltiness. We're just going to go in with a quick pinch of our chilli flakes in at this stage as well and let it fry up for about another minute. While it does that, I'm going to prep our greens that are going to this dish. We've got some cavallonero here. It's a green kale or a Tuscan kale. And we just want the leaves and the little parts of the stem. Now, if you have a look into our oil, you can see the anchovies cooked down. It's melted into that oil as it warmed up. So go in with our kale. Just give it a little stir. It looks like a lot of kale, but this is going to wilt down really quickly. And I've also got some baby spinach here. And then with a ladle, we're just going to add 1 spoon of our pasta liquor. Our braised greens are looking awesome. They've cooked down. They're a little bit caramelised. We're just going to take the pasta from our boiling water into our braised greens. Now to that, we're just going to add some grated parmesan. So there you have it. You just want to make sure the pasta is coated with all that beautiful flavoured olive oil. We're going to plate it up into a bowl. We've got to finish it with a little bit of that on top, a little drizzle of olive oil, and then just some fried breadcrumbs with some garlic through them. And that's it. That's my dish that'll turn an anchovy lover out of any of you doubters. It's olive oil, braised greens with anchovy and rigatoni. That's what's for dinner. Happy eating, guys.
Where else do you go? Who else do you hurt?
Us. They come after us.
The killer final season of Criminal Minds, Tuesday on 7.
There's good news for long weekend commuters. Roadworks to remove part of the Hay Street Bridge have finished early. Part of the southbound Mitchell Freeway was shut down on Friday night and wasn't due to reopen until 2 p.m. tomorrow. But workers wrapped up a couple of hours ago. There will be another closure to complete the works in September.
Elective surgery patients are in for long delays as the corona crisis clogs waiting lists at many public hospitals. WA will expand elective surgery this week, but only to 75% of normal levels. And doctors are warning the backlog will continue to grow.
Rianne Smith has been waiting for a knee replacement for over a year after dislocating it at a soccer game.
I felt a pain in my knee. I looked at my knee and my kneecap was
pretty much on the sideline.
Her first operation, scheduled for March this year, pushed back because of COVID.
It's really hard on school because last year I missed out all term 2.
Rianne says her next surgery was set back again because the hospital didn't have enough personal protective equipment.
We're just kind of like just taking every day that comes.
They're not alone. Private Healthcare Australia's modelling estimates 291,000 elective surgeries will be delayed across the nation by August, blowing out wait times by 2 years.
Dealing with people that are going blind and are in pain and have reduced mobility.
Private hospitals may be able to catch up on the backlog by March next year, but only if surgeons work overtime. Public patients could still be waiting until 2022 unless states and territories heavily invest in healthcare.
Unless hospitals get up to speed soon, we're looking at anything between 200 and 400,000 people that will need access to surgery.
Samantha Brett, 7 News.
A truck driver survived with a fractured wrist and 3 broken ribs after his vehicle was rammed off the road by a B-double and into a service station petrol pump. An unconscious Jeff Clark was dragged from the wreck by a witness.
I'm making a body. That's a lot of tickets or anything like that because I've used it. So I'm close myself, like, very lucky.
300 litres of spilled fuel is proof it could have ended very differently. The driver of the B-double has been questioned by police.
Precious memories destroyed in Victoria's bushfires are being put back together, hundreds of kilometres from the scene of the firestorm. They're being saved from the ashes by a stranger in Hobart, giving some hope to a family who thought they'd lost everything.
Have we dug here yet? I don't know, actually.
A family home reduced to rubble. After a fire destroyed their Sarsfield home, Carol Kennedy and her daughter Briannon didn't expect to find anything left, much less two precious family treasures, a porcelain horse and a china doll.
For me, it's those things that mattered, you know. We can build another house.
After 3 days scratching and digging, incredibly the pair unearthed the shattered remnants of both. Then a generous stranger offered to restore them.
I've started the first stage of repairs.
Artist Kitty Croup has kept a video diary.
It's been quite difficult to put together because so many of the pieces are warped.
The Gippsland fires raged for 3 months, claiming one life and hundreds of homes. The inferno and the coronavirus have decimated the local economy. But for this family, it's now not about what they've lost, but what they've found.
He looks fantastic.
Every time I see her videos, I almost cry. I'm just so grateful. I'm so excited.
Once the borders reopen, the family will fly Kitty and her precious cargo to Melbourne. Jackie Quist, 7 News.
A Perth dancer who fell sick aboard a coronavirus-infected cruise ship overseas is finally free of the virus and free of quarantine. Ashley Perry's ordeal on the MS Zaandam lasted weeks, but it was on the 18th story of a Perth hotel that she captured the internet's attention.
What do you get when you cross a global pandemic, 2 weeks of hotel quarantine, paper bags, a bit of sticky tape and a professional dancer? Pick myself up, turn the world on its head. Ashley Perry had a lot of time on her hands when she was forced into isolation on the 18th floor of the Western Hotel.
These bags kept coming and coming and I thought, let's try something a little bit different, something a bit more creative.
From brown paper bags holding breakfast, lunch and dinner, Ashley created ballerinas, ball gowns, a warrior queen, even a tennis star with a paper racket, produced by isolation boredom and some creativity. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for the 31-year-old who was working aboard the MS Zaandam cruise ship. Ashley herself came down with COVID-19, along with hundreds of other staff and passengers. There were at least 4 deaths on board.
It was scary. I actually came down with the symptoms myself, so I was isolated in a cabin for 8 days.
It's here within the walls of the Western Hotel that Ashley's creativity went into overdrive. In less than 24 hours, her video has already been liked, shared and viewed thousands of times. By 4 p.m, more than 50,000 people had seen it. Ashley's quarantine spirit inspiring others still locked down while facing life outside of work, but still full of ideas. El Giorgio, 7 News.
West Australians will celebrate WA Day a little differently this year. The festival had to be cancelled due to COVID-19, but many of the popular events are moving online, including the SOTA Music Festival, which will become SOTA Stream, and the all-inclusive event Cahoots in Concert, giving people with a disability a chance to showcase their talents.
We've got lots of singers, dancers, performances.
The WA Day Festival will return in 2021.
The shipmaster charged for losing his cargo.
After the breakout, Sydney's coast became a dumping ground. Dozens more containers on the way.
An emotional reunion 5 months after a devastating fire.
And later, new details about the confronting number of people at risk of a heart attack and under 50.
Some of us have got arms that are urgently needed up sheep.
You flirt.
The best classic comedies are on 7/2.
Excellent news.
Guaranteed to tickle your funny bone.
We've been together through thick and thin. We have. I was always 10.
Hello. Best classic comedies. Tonight from 7 on 7/2.
At Harvey Norman, get up to $500 of bonus gift cards on Intel laptops. Get a $100 bonus gift card with this Lenovo IdeaPad laptop, now only $999. A bonus $200 gift card with this Asus VivoBook Flip laptop for $1,499. Or a bonus $400 gift card with this HP Pavilion laptop featuring the latest 10th Gen Intel Core i7 processor. Up to $500 of bonus gift cards on Intel laptops, now at Harvey Norman.
Because you can't get to the gym, we'll bring the gym to you. Bupa customers get 3 months access to 28 by Sam Wood on us. Bupa, because life happens. Learn more at bupa.com.au.
A healthy microbiome is a diverse microbiome. So LifeSpace Daily Probiotics contain up to 15 strains of beneficial bacteria to support yours through every stage of life. We can all be living innovation.
Snap, I'm on my way.
Let's do this.
Come on, let's go!
Time to roll, Jack.
He set sail for home!
Who is it, honey? Everybody!
The footy you love is back, and it's all in one place. Yours.
All around WA, we're doing what we can to protect ourselves and others from COVID-19. In stressful times like these, it's vital to find ways to look after our mental health and well-being, like keeping in touch with family and friends on the phone or via social media. To help reduce stress, get enough sleep, exercise regularly, eat a balanced diet, and only drink alcohol at low-risk levels. Be positive, connected and active to protect your mental health and well-being.
Go on.
At Devondale, we believe great milk comes from cows that graze free.
Now Fuel Watch, Perth's petrol prices. Brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
An empty container spilt from the cargo ship that struggled in rough seas off New South Wales has been discovered south of Sydney. Boats, a helicopter and beach cleaners are still searching for debris left by the spill last week. 14 of an estimated 40 toppled containers have been recovered. The shipmaster has been charged with pollution. Authorities say the spill was a result of poor loading.
They're being hailed as heroes in headsets, the thousands of volunteers taking on the nation's mental health struggles during the coronavirus pandemic. The demand for help from Lifeline has never been greater, and it's only expected to increase as lockdowns ease.
Ruben McKellar is on the front line in the fight against a mental pandemic.
Hello, this is Lifeline. May we help you? Okay, it sounds like you're in need of some support.
His father took his own life. His mother has also signed up to volunteer as coronavirus anxiety overwhelms the lines.
For that to be hitting, day by day, sometimes hourly.
Ruben's just one of the nation's 10,000 volunteers helping Australians in their darkest moments alone.
How was that for you? It sounded like a really tough call.
Yeah, it was. The caller was highly distressed.
These incredible people who turn up every day to help people, every single day as a volunteer. People like Ruben, he is a hero in a headset.
Calls to Lifeline rose by 25% in March as the COVID lockdown took effect. Crisis supporters are now responding to almost 90,000 calls a month, more than any other time in Lifeline's 57-year history. As restrictions ease, calls still continue to rise, people struggling with how normality has changed. In fact, Lifeline is worried the worst could be yet to come.
What they're worried about is what happens when we get back to normal and they maybe don't have a job, they can't pay their mortgage, and on the list goes.
And for those burdened by uncertainty, there's a friendly voice on this number.
Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
A parliamentary inquiry into family and domestic violence has been relaunched after the first attempt was slammed as a sad failure. The initial Senate probe was launched following the murder of Hannah Clark and her 3 children at the hands of her estranged husband in Brisbane.
We need to and southern parts of the state will see those showers clear up. Interstate, cold, wet and windy for Melbourne tomorrow. Showers will ease for Adelaide, dry for Hobart and 16. Sydney, partly cloudy and 22. Sunny for Brisbane and Darwin. Here in the west, we'll see clear skies across the Kimberley, partly cloudy for Exmouth. Geraldton, mostly sunny and 24. 19 the partly cloudy for Perth with light winds. 19 the top. 21 for Tuesday, 22 on Wednesday with a slight chance of a morning shower. Dry for both Thursday and Friday, but there is a chance of showers returning. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back with updates throughout the evening.
And join Matt every half hour from 6 a.m. Stay with us now for House Rules High Stakes.
Previous